Another day, another New South Wales rant video. Let's jump straight into it. Now, I just got done watching the Brandy Alexander and also the Brad Fittler interview that they did with Fox Sports and Channel 9. On Fox Sports, it was NRL 360 from last night. Brad Fittler, it was one of the Channel 9 shows, 100% footy maybe. Can't remember exactly, but I just got done watching their clips. Are available on YouTube. I'll actually chuck the links in the description below. I suggest you go take a look at it. You can watch what I'm saying and then maybe go check what they actually said straight after. You can kind of verify whether I'm right or not. But I took some notes on what they said because it frustrated me to no ends. Now, I actually saw the original clip last night when it first happened, and I was infuriated, and I thought, I can't wait to talk to everybody at work and just talk to anybody in general about the comments, because I thought they were so absurd and they were just dumb and stupid and didn't make a lot of sense. But then I actually saw Brad Fittler's interview, and I thought, how weird that out of the two of them, Brad Fittler's the one who spoke the most sense. Don't really say that too often about Brad Fittler in terms of his takes on the NRL and just rugby league in general, in terms of him on Channel 9, but I actually thought he spoke pretty well. He mainly talked about Cody Walker and Nicho Hynes and a few of that sort of stuff, but there's a few little notes I want to touch on, but the Brandy interview that's what I really want to zone in on, and that's what I probably got to get a little bit fired up. So guys, sit back, relax and enjoy it, because I think we're about to go in on just the New South Wales coaching staff and maybe the New South Wales team in general. Now, apologies if I repeat myself from yesterday. I'm going to try not to, but just want to touch on a few things that he did say. So, first thing that I wrote down was that Brandy mentioned that Cody Walker was probably going to play game 2, but he was injured. So, I just want to go through the fact that he mentions that he passed a fitness test, right? So, they've passed him. And also, they do mention later on in the interview, Regan Campbell-Gillard. He played, but he came off an injury. We didn't want to pick him, blah, blah, blah. So, on one hand, they've gone into Game 1 and Game 2 picking Latrell Mitchell knowing he's injured. Game 2 in particular. So, on one hand, they've shown that they would pick a guy. Because Cody Walker and Latrell Mitchell all got cleared on the same day. So, Campbell-Gillard and Cody Walker got cleared. They both ended up playing for their respective clubs and played well. And they did get picked because they weren't fit. And this also goes down to like Stefano getting dropped, and that did get questioned. It was Buzz Rothfield, who I never agree with, but this is a rare Buzz Rothfield take that I actually was behind him, and same for Brett Reid as well. Don't particularly get behind a lot of these journos, but I thought they hit the nail on the head, and I was so glad that they actually questioned him, and it really showed that they don't know. They were so defensive. I've never seen a team, not just a team, but a representative side, be so defensive and be like, sort of swap and change their answers based from 1 minute to the next minute. And that's the perfect example, is what I just said, that they've gone ahead and said that Cody Walker was available, but we didn't pick him. So they've kind of insinuated that they probably would have picked him for Game 2, but he wasn't fit. Yet they went and picked Latrell Mitchell, who definitely wasn't fit. There's probably a few others. Cam Murray was another one they mentioned as to why coming off the bench and all that sort of stuff. But they mentioned those guys as being not fit, so we're not going to pick him. Yet they don't pick Cody Walker. So it's like they've picked and choose where they want to use this logic for. On one hand, they want to pick some guys. Latrell Mitchell clearly was never going to play. So they want to pick him and give him a chance. But the guy that's your first choice 5'8", apparently, and going into Game 3, he's the first choice. He's the guy that you go, nah, we won't pick him. So by that, it just doesn't make sense, does it? You see what I'm getting at here. The next thing that got brought up, he brought up Nicho Hynes. It was brought up, whether Nicho Hynes was discarded. And Brandy sort of got a little bit fired up about it. And he kind of was just like, hey, he got picked as a utility. If you're a utility, you need to come on and play any position, sort of no matter what. And I think he just completely missed the point. The point was that Nicho Hynes, and also it's funny that Brad Fittler in his interview, they talked about having opportunities, right? Talk about a guy who hasn't got an opportunity, Nicho fucking Hynes. The guy who won a Dally M, has been arguably the best halfback in the comp for the last couple of seasons. He really wasn't in the mix by the sounds of things in terms of going into Game 2 and Game 3. Brad Fittler's response was that, and also this one did make a lot of sense, and this is why I'll give credit to Brad Fittler. This is what I meant that he spoke a lot better, was that the way he plays for the Sharks, he plays on the right-hand side, he plays as halfback. It just doesn't make sense to just chuck him in at number 6. I can understand the logic behind that, right? I can understand that. So, credit to Freddie. That's the only thing I'll give you credit for, apart from, ruining New South Wales. But, look, that part makes sense. But Greg Alexander, Brandy, going on and saying that essentially that Nico Hines just isn't up for it. That's kind of like the general consensus from what he was saying. He was on there saying that, Nico Hines should have done a job off the bench. And it's like, bro, you've just picked him in a spot that he shouldn't have been playing with. Every man and their dog told you that Matt Burton, or you've gone with Gutherson, you haven't even gone with Burton for game 3, but whoever, they should have had a different utility, a guy who's actually played center, because center seemed to be the position that you need to cover, because if any other positions went down, you could have chucked the centers onto the wing or at fullback. So it made sense to get a guy who can play in the centers and maybe play in the halves too. So they proceeded to not do that, chuck in a guy who plays halfback, chuck him in the centers. He missed literally one tackle. He made a couple good tackles earlier too, but he missed one tackle in 10 minutes. That's all he got, and they've sort of rid him off. And I kind of saw it as they just don't rate him as an Origin player. And for me, it's absolutely ridiculous. And like I said, they speak about opportunities. They spoke in depth about, being opportunities for the future. They were very adamant that this was a side that is going to win game 3, which is just like, I can't believe that. Like, I get you don't want to come on TV and be like, we picked a side that is based on potential. We don't really care if they actually win or not. But they were so adamant, both of them. They're like, Brad Fittler was kind of being like, my job's on the line. We're going to win, or we need to win sort of thing. So I've picked a side that's going to win. That's what they kept saying. We picked a side that's going to win. And to that, it's just like, how's Bradman Best in the side? But just back on Nico Hines, I keep sort of touching off it. But with Nico Hines, they, sort of said that, he's just not a fit for the side. That was Brad Fittler's point of view. Brandy's was that, sometimes you're just not up for it. Hey, sometimes you're just not meant for State of Origin. It is what it is. And for that, I think he totally missed the point on what Brent Reed and what I'm saying and what a lot of New South Wales fans are saying is that you have based his whole State of Origin career off him playing out of position. It's not the fact that he came on and played in the centres. It's the fact that you won't pick him in other positions because he missed one tackle in the centres. He was playing in a position that he's never played in. That's what it comes down to. It's not the fact that, Nico Hines is a bad utility. For us, it's like, you aren't picking him in other positions in the 5'8" or halfback because he had a bad performance in the centres. And it's like, he's never played there. He had 10 minutes. It was at the end of the game. If the injury to Tom Trbojevic didn't happen, he wasn't even going to get a go. So for them to come out and be like, you need to be, just get chucked on and play well. It's like you guys had zero plan. You had zero game plan on when Nico Hines was playing. And then it seems like you've based the rest of the series and potential future of New South Wales off of one game where he didn't even play in his position. I just can't understand that. I really can't understand that. And I don't think anybody can understand that. And it kind of shows you the difference in Queensland and New South Wales. I can't see Queensland picking, so like Ben Hunt, he went in and, Cherry Evans has done it. They've always sort of picked a guy who was the next in line for halfback or 5'8", and they come off the bench and they get chucked into the centres or any sort of position that needs covering. And if they don't do that, they come on at some point and they just play in the forwards. For New South Wales, they had zero thought process on Nico Hines coming in and playing in the forwards. They said that he was going to come on and play hooker. He clearly was never going to come on and play hooker if, he's coming on for Tom Trbojevic at the time he did with 10 minutes to go. He was not going to come on at that point. There's zero chance that was happening. And it shows you the difference in terms of how New South Wales and Queensland have run, and that's something that I've been talking about quite a bit over the last couple of weeks, over the last month of State of Origin. But this just shows it, just how out of depth some of these guys who are directly involved in New South Wales are. You have Breeny coming on TV and getting defensive. And the thing that he was most defensive about was when Brent Reed asked him why Bradman Best was in the side, essentially, and was he picked based off the Bulldogs game. Because that's what it seems like. That's genuinely what it seems like. No man out there. I didn't see anybody. I have people who support the Nines, who are close friends, who have said, I wouldn't have picked him. I didn't even think about him in terms of being a New South Wales centre. Let's think of other centres who are eligible for New South Wales. You even think of guys that Freddie has actually picked over the past couple of seasons. Matt Burton there, number 1. He would be up there. If I said Talakai, who he picked last year as his utility, he's there. Gutherson's played in the centres before. In Brad Fittler's interview, he said that with the form that Gutherson's in, you pick him anywhere. So there's another centre. Then you have Katoni Staggs, who's also had a go as well. You chuck in the guys who haven't had a go as well with your Jesse Ramians and such. There's a lot of guys who could potentially be there, but there's only a couple that we really talked about. Bradman Best was not one of them. Bradman Best hasn't been in contention the last couple of seasons. He wasn't in contention this year, but then Alexander comes out and says that, I didn't even touch on Penasini. Penasini's another one. Targo, they're the guys who haven't played. He goes, we did consider Targo, we didn't consider Penasini. It's like, why are you not considering these players, but you're considering Bradman Best? It sort of just goes off kind of reminds me of their selection of Tavita Pengai Jr. and it shows their thought process of, you know, they look at these guys and they sort of reminds me of like a game of FIFA where you have a set overall. So your guy starts off as a 70. You know damn well by the end, you know, a couple seasons in, he's going to be 90 rated. He has a set future. He has a set potential. Like, it's guaranteed that he's going to hit the 90s. And that's how I feel like these guys, like your Fittlers and your Alexanders, they look at it like that. That's what it feels like. They've gone Bradman Best. His biggest sort of pro for Bradman Best was that he used to play like under 18s New South Wales. How many of those guys didn't even make it in the NRL first off, but like also are in contention for New South Wales at the moment? Like, it's sort of, just because you played there doesn't mean you're going to be a future star on the NRL. So that was his biggest example, and he tried to say it was disrespectful to insinuate that Bradman Best got picked off one game. But what are we actually going off? This is the first time in his 3 or 4 year career at the moment. But this is the first time he's actually strung a few games together and hasn't been injured. And look at where the Knights are. Like, yes, they just won 66-0, but they're what, in like 14th, 13th, 12th, something like that. They're definitely not in contention for the top 8 or being some sort of threat for the comp or anything. They're a side that, you know, everyone else looks at and they just go, oh yeah, they're okay. They're alright. Ponga carries them. No one ever looks at the Knights and goes, geez, Bradman Best, what a bloody player. Wish we had him in our side. That's really what it comes down to. Bradman Best, look, he could come out and have a fantastic game. That doesn't take away from the fact that this is a terrible selection. And it does remind me of Tavita Pengai Jr., where they just sort of, I don't know, hit and hope. They just want to chuck enough shit at the wall and just hope that something sticks. And I feel like Bradman Best is definitely one of them. If he comes out and has a good game, they can sit there and say, hey, you know, we're geniuses. We saw Bradman Best. He's big, strong. I don't have any doubts that Bradman Best is going to look okay inside of Origin Arena. I didn't even touch on Crichton. He's the actual other centre. But it just shows you that, like, they don't really have any thought process, and they're trying to justify these selections and come up with solutions as to why they pick these players and, you know, oh, we go back to this game, we go back to that game. And then they sort of contradict themselves straight away. And that's what I mean by, on one hand, they say that we're not picking these guys because they were injured, but then they go and pick other guys who are clearly injured in the exact same game from the exact same club. They also go and say that they're sort of picking a little bit on potential, and then they go and drop a guy that they picked in previous games, Hudson Young, Stefano, 2 very, very young guys, 2 guys who have been talked about being the future of New South Wales. They drop them. They're just things that they just don't add up, and it's very, very hard as a New South Wales supporter to sit here and get behind this side when the coaches are literally going on TV and not speaking with a lot of logic and not really giving us any sort of solid explanations. And then when they sort of get questioned on things, they get real defensive. They show more defense than the actual fucking New South Wales team, and that should say something. Now, like I said, I'll give Freddie some credit because I thought he made some sense, and if you go and watch the interview, you'll understand what I'm saying, where he actually gave an explanation as to why Nico Hines is there, and he even addressed the fact that Nico Hines has been so good on the field that it's kind of like you want to force him in the side, but we can't really force him in the side. So I understand that. But the problem is too, though, is that you did that for game 1. So on one hand, you're saying, hey, we don't want to force it. He doesn't really have a spot in the side. It just doesn't work. But it's like, from game 1, you picked him. You picked him in the side. You picked him as a utility. So you've acknowledged that you wanted a utility. You go into game 2, you said we don't need a utility. The guy who's our hooker, he can be a utility, and we've got other forwards on the bench. You also go and pick injured guys who end up playing. And then in game 3, you go away from that again, and you go back to the game 1 logic of we need a utility. And then he also expressed how, you know, Gutherson was in such good form that he would play him anywhere. So it's like, all right, so he's in such good form, you play him anywhere. So you're going to bring him off the bench. Or maybe not. You're maybe not even going to bring him off the bench because by New South Wales standards, they don't seem to actually play him. It's only if an injury happens. So expect Gutherson to sit there for 80 minutes. Or maybe not because it's the last game, the media pressure's on. I just didn't like how they tried to insinuate that the whole Nico Hines thing is pressure from the media, because it's not. It's not pressure from the media. This guy's been performing on the field. This guy won a Dally M. Like, this isn't something that he's been hyped up by the media. He's actually been playing good. When it was brought to the attention of Bus Rothfield that the Sharks actually have, like, statistically one of the best attacks in the league, I think maybe the best, Brandy literally scoffed at it. And it's like, you are the coach. You can't go on TV and scoff at that sort of stuff. The guy's the halfback. He won the Dally M last year. Like, this isn't a guy who's just a bum. This isn't a guy who's just like a random Joe Blow. Like, you have to acknowledge that. And I can't understand the thought process. And I feel like the interviews that they just didn't really do anything for the New South Wales side. I don't think it gives encouragement to the state. I don't think it builds confidence in the players. To me, it just shows a lot of delusion, and it kind of just sort of pinpoints and sort of backs up exactly where all of us New South Wales fans and supporters, and just the people of New South Wales, we've always said, like, this is the problem. Now it's kind of confirmed that this is the problem. And if it wasn't confirmed already, but this just kind of reinforces it. So, kudos, New South Wales coaching staff. Good stuff. Good stuff. You've just ruined a great little dynasty, a great era of New South Wales football. You've absolutely ruined it. And that's bottom of my heart. I proper mean that. Whether you win game 3 or not, it doesn't mean shit. You know it, I know it, everybody else knows it. It means absolutely nothing. And you had a chance to come out and sort of right the wrongs a little bit, and you've sort of done it, but you kind of went half in, half out. So, kudos, Brandy. Hopefully we never see these guys ever involved in New South Wales ever again. If I have to sit through another Brandy Alexander thing where he's on the bus and he's doing another little vlog thing or another interview or just them coaching in general for New South Wales, I will literally turn off the game. It's kind of getting to that point. These guys are moronic, and I know there's this whole element of, God, like, you never played. These guys have played in the NRL and all this, but you know what? That doesn't mean anything. We've seen that doesn't mean anything. They've proven it. Listen to them talk. Literally, it proves the point. But guys, look, I'm starting to rant here. I'm starting to get a little bit fired up. But I'm gonna end things here. End it on a civil note. But yeah, guys, hopefully you did enjoy that one. If you did, make sure you go ahead and smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. We are on the road to 15,000 subscribers. Less than 200 to go, so we're getting very, very close. If you can leave a like, the more likes, the better. The more growth for the channel. I usually say that in most of my videos, and it's the truth. The ones that have the most likes that obviously have the most views. It sort of goes hand in hand. Helps grow the channel. Helps it pop up in suggested videos and all that sort of stuff. So if you'd like to help me out, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe. Also, if you'd like to help me out even further, go ahead and become a member of the channel. I appreciate the hell out of you guys, honestly. You've been keeping the channel afloat. You keep me motivated, keep me on my toes, keep me wanting to make videos, wanting to entertain you guys. And that goes for the super chatters as well, which you're seeing on the screen right now. Everybody has been so supportive, and you know what? This has probably been one of the best years I've had on YouTube in quite a few years, and it's down to you guys. So thank you so much. Also, my social media, it's on the screen right now. It's Mr. Luke and YT. Go ahead, chuck me a follow, give me an ad, do all that sort of stuff. Instagram and TikTok is probably where I'm most active on, so give me a follow, give me an ad. Let's get more active in the comments. Let's leave more comments. I'll respond to you guys. You all know I'm going to respond, but let's get some more comments. I want to see your thoughts on the New South Wales side and just the thoughts on the comments from the coaches, because these are guys who are directly involved. This isn't like some random guy. This isn't a guy who, like Andrew Johns, who's kind of there, but not really. This is the actual coach and like the assistant coach and guys involved in selecting the sides. But yeah, I don't really have anything else to say, so I'm going to wrap things up here. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in my next one. See yous.